Things Season 3, or Stranger Things 3 as it has been officially named. I'm just going to call it Stranger Things 3 because that's the official name of Stranger Things Season 3. It is out on Netflix now. You can check it out. If you haven't watched it, why? It's Stranger Things, man. Why haven't you watched it? It's like as good as Game of Thrones. I'm getting a lot of flack for saying that. Stranger Things 3 sees everybody growing up. Nancy and Jonathan have jobs. Mike and Eleven are now dating. Lucas, Max, Dustin, and Will are all growing up. Everybody's growing up. Something that happens with Billy, played by Dacre Montgomery, and everybody has to investigate what's going on while Hopper's off doing his own thing, and with Joyce Wheeler, and that all comes back into play as well. I'm trying to be as vague as possible in case you have not seen this season of Stranger Things. This review will probably contain spoilers, so you have been warned. I really loved Season 3 of Stranger Things. I think I liked it better than 2, only because Season 2 had that one episode, I think it was episode 7, like The Lost Sister or something like that. That dumb episode that nobody likes. That really derailed Season 2. It really just brought Season 2 to a screeching halt. It felt like this out-of-left-field detour, and Season 3 just completely gets rid of that plotline, and I'm really happy about that. What I love about Season 3 so much, it's not as good as 1, I'm just going to say that. Season 1's still the best. But what I love about Season 3 is the fact that everybody's on different teams, and they're all off doing their own thing. You have Team Mike, which features Mike, Lucas, Max, Will. They're doing their own thing. Team Nancy with Nancy and Jonathan. Team Hopper with Hopper, Joyce, a Russian dude. And then Team Steve, the best team ever. Team Steve with Dustin, newcomer Robin, Steve Harrington, and Erica, Lucas's little sister. I love the fact that everybody split up in this season, and then everything just kind of comes to a head towards the end of the season where they all meet up. It's just, I think it's brilliant storytelling. Because I love the dynamic, I love the relationships that are formed when you split up the characters like this. Especially the dynamic between Steve and Dustin. That's just a great bromance right there. And it just proves how much of a redeemable character you can make people. Jaime Lannister was really redeemable on Game of Thrones, probably until the end, in some people's minds, but Steve Harrington is also one of the most redeeming characters in television history. That dude was a huge-ass dick in Season 1. And then look at him in Season 2. You had Team Steve. There's literally t-shirts of hashtag Team Steve. And hashtag Team Steve is stronger than ever in Season 3. Episode 4 is where this season just gets bonkers. The first 3 episodes, like Season 1 and Season 2, take a little bit of time to get going. It kind of sets up what's going on in the season, and I'm fine with that. Once you hit Episode 4, though, this season is a rollicking, fun roller coaster ride. It is really great, and I love the nostalgic feel because the Russians are bad guys in this season. They're the villains, and I love the nostalgic feel of having the Russians as villains because that's what it was in 80s and 90s movies. It was always the Russians, and this takes place in 1985, and the Cold War was still going on, so it's like, well, what if Russia had these secret bases underneath U.S. compounds and structures and all of that in the middle of the Cold War without us even knowing. That's a really interesting concept, and I'm glad that they brought that back. It's a cheesy concept, but this season really works. It really plays on that, and that's something that I think is a strong suit for this season. This season has a lot to say about corporate greed. It says a lot about how corporations and big malls and gallerias can take away from small-town business owners. That was really something unexpected. Didn't expect the show to go that far, you know? I expected it to be a little bit more grounded, but it went that far. And I liked it. One of my favorite things about this season is Billy Hargrove. They actually gave Billy something more to do in this season. I know all the girls are going to complain that he's not as shirtless this season. It's okay. All you have to do is just look at pictures of Dacre Montgomery topless. Just do a Google search. It's not that hard. But I'm really happy that they made Billy relevant because in Season 2, he just seemed like he was that asshole that was just a bully, but yet every girl and every middle-aged woman in Hawkins was just fawning over him like, oh my god, he's so hot. I'm gonna cheat on my husband just just the fucking... That's literally what Season 2 was. And the fact that they put... Spoilers abound here, just saying. The fact that they put Billy in the Upside Down, that was something that was really unexpected. And I really thought that he was just going to go to the Upside Down and then come back and be like, yep, now I'm on your guys' side. But no, he's one of the villains of the season. And that was really smart. And when he dies, it actually kind of makes you cry because that's Max's brother. And you care so much about Max, you know? I mean, you care so much about all these characters that you just don't want to see anything tragic happen to them. And that's a tragedy in Max's life. I'm really happy that they made Billy Hargrove more relevant this season. They actually gave him something to do. In terms of the subplot with Karen Wheeler wanting to cheat on her husband just so that she can go bang Billy, is anybody as confused at that as I am? Because I really think that that had no bearing on the season whatsoever. I just thought it was this throwaway thing that either if you're going to throw it in there, go a little further with it, or just don't do it at all. I just feel like they didn't have to do it at all. I get it. Everybody's gushing over how hot Dacre Montgomery is and how hot Billy Hargrove is, but seriously, like I said before, just Google it. It's just a waste. Honestly, it's just a waste of screen time that could have been devoted to something else. There's also a scene in the final episode when all the subplots come to a head and everybody converges. You have Dustin telling everybody what to do because Team Steve has scenes and stuff in the underground tunnels below the Starcourt Mall. And so Hopper and Joyce, posing as Russian agents, infiltrate the underground tunnels beneath the mall. They need this code, and Dustin doesn't have this code. And in order to get this code, he has to contact his girlfriend, Susie, who nobody believes even exists, but the moment that he said she exists and we didn't see her, I'm like, they're saving it for something else, and they save it for this moment, which I was fine with seeing her. The scene that transpires, though, where she gives him the code, she's like, sing me this song! I'm like... I don't know if they added that for comedy's sake, but like the tension was there, and that just sucked any tension that episode had out at that exact moment. I thought that was the cheesiest thing they could have done. Susie, I do not like you. Please dump Dustin, or Dustin dump her, please, because she's annoying. I don't like her. I did not like that scene one bit. Also, this is just a nitpick of mine. People might not even notice this, but it seems like when everybody split up into their own teams, it feels, for the first 5 episodes, I would say, it feels like everything just feels like a subplot. It doesn't feel like the season has that much focus. It's really hard to see how all of these different plot lines are going to converge and become one plot line at the end. I mean, it makes more sense once everybody converges, they all meet up, and then they all have to do this thing together. But it's just what Hopper's doing with this Russian agent, and what Team Steve is doing underneath the Starcourt Mall, discovering the Russian tunnels, trying to decipher Russian codes. And then what Eleven's trying to do with the whole thing with Billy and the Upside Down. Everything just doesn't seem like it's going to come into play. Everything just seems like it's subplots. But luckily, everything comes to a head at the end, and it does actually make sense. I feel like they didn't know where the next stepping stones to bring this plot was. That was one of my concerns while watching it, but then once it comes to a head, you're just like, that makes sense now. So, I think that's more of a nitpick. But I can see where people have problems with that, where it feels like it's not really amounting to anything, and it just feels like it's like subplot after subplot after subplot. Guys, needless to say, my couple of gripes aside, I really enjoyed Season 3 of Stranger Things. Not as strong as Season 1, better than Season 2. Season 2 is still really good, but take that Lost Sister episode out of the equation. Just skip that shit if you watch it. If you have not seen Stranger Things and you're binge watching it, skip episode 7 of season 2. It is literally dumb. It is the worst episode of the series. If you think Game of Thrones season 8 was bad, that's worse. That's my review of season 3 of Stranger Things. Thank you guys for watching. Content next week. I'm not really sure how I'm going to get that up, because here's the thing. I am going to San Diego Comic-Con next week, and I'm going with a couple of friends from the Cinemania page on Facebook. We are going as members of the press. Cinemania is a Facebook group that I am a part of, and we're going to be trying to report on everything that we see throughout the day. We're also trying to score an interview with Lou Ferrigno. That would be fucking awesome. If I decide to film what I'm going to report on for the day after the end of each day at Comic-Con, I don't know how the structure is going to be, because we do a podcast with Cinemania, and my friend Dwayne usually leads that in, so I might just film it as he's leading in the podcast. So if you see him introducing any of my videos, that could be why. So don't freak out. It's still going to be me. But he might be introducing some of them, because I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. If I'm just going to film it while we do the podcast and he does the lead-in introduction, or if I'm just going to maybe do a separate introduction myself, I have no idea. But I know we're all going to be talking about what we see. I definitely want to film it. We're definitely going to do it on the podcast. Check out the Cinemania World podcast. I will leave the link to the Facebook and the Podbean app down below, as well as the Cinemania World Podcast YouTube page. You can listen to the podcasts there as well. So that's my plan for next week with Comic-Con. So I really hope to enjoy myself. It's my first time ever going to San Diego Comic-Con. It's the furthest into the United States I'll ever be. And it's really exciting, honestly. It's an honor to be there as a member of the press, to get to see Marvel unveil their Phase 4 slates, to get to see possible footage of Terminator Dark Fate. Stuff like that. That's gonna be a dream come true. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.